patching the roads. The guys that are 30 stories in the air putting steel beams together for a big high-rise. Those are your heroes.
The single mother who's teaching all day long and can barely feed her family, who has to put up with enough confrontation in the classroom to crumble the strongest man. Mm-hmm. We aren't idolizing those people. We go to Lowe's. Here we go. And the parking places closest aren't for feeble elderly people.
No.
They're for war veterans. Excuse me, military veterans. They don't necessarily have to be in war.
That's correct.
My father was a veteran. He was injured. I think that's honorable. But they shouldn't get a break, a 10% cut on their expenditures when we have struggling mothers.
I knew you were going to go after that.
There's no way they should. I don't get it. We have a good friend who is an injured vet in Iraq. Mm-hmm. He gets tax breaks. He gets a pension for life. He has full health coverage. And so be it. That's fine. But so should every other worker like you just listed and named.
Yeah.
Our worship system is A, backwards, A, upside down.
Yep. I'm gonna by the way, you mentioned the movie Kill the King. That was released straight to Blu-ray. It never hit the theaters. Yeah. I can't even find a Wikipedia page for the movie. You know who narrated that movie? Burt Reynolds.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
That's a classic. That is a classic.
Yeah.
You have to wonder about the not just that movie, but you have to wonder about the fact that a billionaire TV personality named Donald John Trump rose to power because of what? People told me his number one calling card was he was a celebrity, a guy that said you're fired. Go ahead.
We had that 40 years ago, and his name was Ronald Reagan, bad movie actor. Bedtime for Bonzo.
Yeah.
The same guy who got his start, what was it? He was the head of the Screen Actors Guild. He was their president. James Garner, the actor, was vice president of the guild at the time, said that Ronald Reagan didn't know what the hell he was doing as president of the Screen Actors Guild. This was his underneath guy saying, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Again, this is the same guy that later became the governor of California, who got rid of free college because he didn't want to give those goddamn hippies at Berkeley a free education. Pretty much a direct quote.
Well, Darren, I got to ask you, do you think there's some psychological issues that lead to celebrity worship, or is it a plague of our culture today?
I think it's more of a culture plague than it is anything else.
I do too.
Because we're told, again, going back to Carlin, they tell you what to believe, they tell you what to think and what to buy. The table is tilted, the game is rigged, and nobody seems to notice, and nobody seems to care.
Yeah, and the thing is that when you have hero worship of just regular people, like unexceptional people like Trump, that's in replace of the fact there are no honorable heroes in the political world. There aren't, we think there's a couple. The NFL, we were talking about the rap sheet of arrests, the sports heroes. Even Peyton was charged with abusing a woman in the had a whole documentary on that.
Yeah,
we it's pretty hard to find heroes just about anywhere, right? So you go over somebody who plays a fictional character in a movie, and you buy the records, you buy the memorabilia, you become fanatically tied to an imaginary figure. Because we have no authentic heroes.
Yeah. Real quickly, I forgot to do our Hammer Time segment and went ahead and let the cat out of the bag. So let's go ahead and get it out of the way.
Hammer Time.
Yeah, it's Hammer Time. It's time to drop the hammer on the douchebag of the week, and we talked about him earlier in the show. Our winner this week, Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, for trying to out a whistleblower, even though the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court refused to answer the question. He threw a temper tantrum and then supposedly released that person's name. So for Rand Paul, who as an ophthalmologist can't see anything, we have this message for you.
Don't be a douchebag.
That's right. Hey, Rand, stop being a douchebag, just like Daddy. I don't like his dad either, Ron Paul. Never was a fan.
These Kentucky people?
I don't mind Kentucky people. Some of them. My mom's pretty good. Sharon's pretty good.
Yeah, my girlfriend's a Kentucky woman. Speaking of Elvis.
Kentucky rain keeps falling down. Oh, God, I don't need to start singing. Oh, boy. Real quickly, I want to mention a couple of things with the election coming up here. I have this story. This is from, of all places, the Washington Post. This is by Jeff Stein and Sean Sullivan. Senator Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont, is considering dozens of executive orders he could unilaterally enact on a wide range of domestic policy issues if elected president, including immigration, the environment, and prescription drugs. This is according to two people familiar with the campaign's planning and an internal document reviewed by the Washington Post. Sanders has risen in national and early state polling in the final days before Monday's Iowa caucuses. No, he's always been in the lead. They just can't operate polls with any type of integrity these days. So let me continue here. Aides have presented Sanders with a list of possible executive actions, including more than a dozen options for reversing Trump's immigration policy, such as lifting the cap on the number of refugees accepted into the United States and immediately halting border wall construction. Another option is the reinstatement of an Obama-era program that granted legal status to undocumented immigrants brought to the United States as children. The document reviewed by the Washington Post shows how the Sanders campaign has already begun extensive planning for how the senator would lead the country in his first days as president if he won the Democratic nomination and defeated Trump in November. Many of the proposals Sanders has floated on the campaign trail do not have support from congressional Republicans and are opposed by some Democrats. Let me rephrase that. Most Democrats. So a willingness to move forward without congressional approval could determine whether many of his policies are enacted. And by some and most Democrats, I mean the ones that are in Congress right now, not the people. Because the people support his plans. Sorry, do your research. Do some actual research. Don't just take for granted what we say here. Do the research on this.
Support his plans, but they don't like him. According to Hillary, nobody likes him.
By the way, I like Bernie was the number one trend on Twitter at some point this week.
Hillary's got it all wrong. I mean, the deja vu is that they didn't like her.
Yeah.
So she brings the phrase back and just puts Bernie's name in.
Yeah. Continuing the story here, the list of potential executive orders includes unilaterally allowing the United States to import prescription drugs from Canada, directing the Justice Department to legalize marijuana, and declaring climate change a national emergency while banning the exportation of crude oil. Other options cited in the document include canceling federal contracts for firms paying workers less than $15 an hour and reversing federal rules blocking U.S. funding to organizations that provide abortion counseling. This is fantastic stuff. And you should go further. Single-payer universal health care, like he says. Just, this is fantastic. And by the way, Bernie's in the lead just about everywhere now.
Well,
this is great.
Again, that's just another example of celebrity worship. It's the Bernie bros are blind to everything. They just... Because he's an easy idol. He's such a handsome, striking-looking guy. And
yes, he is.
Who's the Kardashian type,
Yeah.
Easy to follow Kardashians. They look like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Bernie, not so much.
Yeah.
Could it be maybe that they really think he's honorable and that his policies indicate that for his whole life long?
Yeah. Exactly. That's what it is. It's policy. Folks, you got to look at policy. Stop looking at celebrity. Look at policy. See what somebody stands for, and then stand up for them.
Yeah, listen, we're in big trouble if we get another corporate candidate shoved down our throat. Mm-hmm. Hello, Trump.
Exactly. Speaking of corporate candidates, I have this story real quickly by Alex Woodward writing for The Independent. A former Iowa official said he's shocked that Joe Biden told him to go vote for someone else after the Democratic presidential candidate rebuffed a question about whether he supports oil pipeline construction. Mr. Biden poked and grabbed Ed Fallon, who served in Iowa's General Assembly and leads an organization aimed at tackling the climate crisis, after the candidate pressed him about his loyalty in the election. By the way, there's video of this. So not only has Biden grabbed the lapels of a CBS reporter going, why?
That was last week's show.
That was last week. This week we now have him poking and grabbing a former Iowa General Assemblyman because he didn't like the question about oil pipeline construction.
He's a punk.
He is. He's
really,
no better than Trump.
People, pushing people around.
He's no better than Trump.
Challenged one guy to a push-up contest.
Yeah.
This is in the 8th grade, man. This guy wants to arm wrestle in the lunchroom.
Yep. We have another update to a story we've been reporting on for the last couple of weeks. Susan Demas writes this for Michigan Advance. This is dated January 26th. There's now a third allegation of sexual harassment being leveled at Michigan State Senator Peter Lucido.
Our man.
Yeah. Lucido serves as a member of the Michigan Senate GOP leadership team as majority whip and also chairs the powerful Senate Judiciary and Advice and Consent Committees. And the Senate has launched a sexual harassment investigation against Lucido. So his third allegation comes from Melissa Osborne, who is a regulatory affairs employee with the Michigan Credit Union League. She claims that Lucido approached her at a May 2019 conference at the Radisson Hotel in downtown Lansing. Like he allegedly did with McMorrow, he commented about her red hair, Crane's Detroit Business reports. Osborne said that the senator later put his hand on her lower back, upper butt during a conversation. So he's now denying that claim as well.
Wow. Lucky Lucido.
Yeah. Something. I don't know what he is. Scumbag is my opinion.
Well, he is. He's not only a scumbag, he's insistent that he's done nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. He's like Trump.
Yeah.
He's like Shaggy. You
Wasn't
just
me.
deny it.
It wasn't me.
I had my hand on her rump, but you didn't see it.
Yeah. Oh, boy. And I want to wrap up today's show. I've got an off-the-cuff story. This is published by Channel 10 News in Miami, Florida. This comes out of New Delhi, India. A man taking his rooster to compete in a cockfight was killed after being attacked by the animal. 50-year-old Sarapalli Rao died January 15th when he was cut in the neck by a blade attached to the rooster's claw, CNN reports.
Wow.
The father of 3 later died at the hospital of a stroke. Rao was traveling with the rooster to a cockfighting competition. When the rooster escaped, Rao attempted to grab it when he was attacked by the bird.
So a killed a
Well, you can't say that. No, we'll leave the jokes to the professional comics here. Unbelievable. Hey, this is karma.
That's what I'm saying.
This is what happens when you treat animals like that. I'll go on record. You deserve to die.
And I'll rephrase
to quote the late great Rick Beckett.
A rooster killed a jerk.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's like Vic being killed by one of his dogs on the way to the fight.
Michael Vick, yeah. It's poetic justice is what it is.
Yeah.
And speaking of poetic justice, we got to get out of here so that we can issue our own poetic justice around these parts.
You got it.
We'll be back next week, folks. I'm Darren Gibson.
I'm Jack Prince.
For our announcer, Kristen Cook, please support independent media and the First Amendment.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.